We have Professor Sam McElhenney and Professor Lucy Jones. I'm so sorry if I mispronounced any of your
Oh,
names.
that's good.
Yeah. So Professor Lucy Jones is an architect and an academic at UCA Canterbury. She's a senior lecturer in architecture and design. Currently, her main role at the university is convener for the MA Architecture and MA Interior Design programs. She also spends some time in independent practice, research, and charity work. She qualified as an architect in 2011 and has worked at firms such as Rick Mather Architects, OMA, and in her own practice. Professor Lucy has experience of large-scale refurbishment and adaptive reuse projects, remodeling the existing fabric of listed buildings on complex sites. She has worked on hospitality-based build, museum, gallery design, auditorium design, academic buildings, large-scale housing, bespoke interiors, and conversion of industrial to living spaces. Professor Lucy has experience of the design and build of multimedia installations in settings as diverse as the Nevada deserts to luxury hotels, from one of large scale multi screen events to smaller animated models, through being a founding member of small design collective Warm Baby as an independent practitioner and researcher. Sometimes these are live build projects with her students. She's currently chairperson of the Dreamland Heritage Trust in Margate, UK. I'm sorry. And yeah, and Professor Sam McElhenney currently leads the BA and Masters of Architecture courses at UCA Canterbury. He has previously run MA and BA degrees in the same school. And yeah, I think we can hand it over to you, ma'am and sir.
Hello, everyone. Sorry for any delay that you've been waiting. Just to explain the context, I look after the architecture courses generally. Lucy Jones looks after the Masters in Architecture, Master of Architecture, and a suite of other Masters courses that we have that are 1 year sort of intensive Masters courses. So she is going to lead the presentation today, and then I'll talk very briefly at an appropriate moment about the slight differences between the Masters educations that we have.
Lovely. Thank you very much. And thank you for that very comprehensive introduction. I feel so known. Great. Okay. So today, as Sam said, neither of us are particularly used to presenting on Google, and particularly my experience of presenting on Google is through Google Slides. So I'm now working from a PowerPoint. So you have to forgive me if I have to change a couple of settings, but I'll do my best, and yeah, we'll go from there. What I'm going to do is I'm going to present a few slides. It's not a great number, don't worry, and there's no test at the end. I'm going to talk a little bit about the way that we come to postgraduate study with the university, and also the range of courses we offer, and I'll be showing you a few examples of work. Okay, so
So also, Lucy, just to tell you, like, we have 60+ students sitting in the seminar hall.
Yeah, lovely. Thank you. So can somebody let me know if that's not showing as a screen show?
You're good, okay? Lucy, you're good.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Great. Okay, so I'll get going. Okay, so Canterbury School of Architecture and Design. We've been a school for over 75 years, so we have lots and lots of experience of delivering spatial education at all postgraduate and undergraduate, and we've had RIBA validation since 1958. Goodness me. And as you know, my name's Lucy Jones, and I look after the postgraduate 12-month spatial cluster, so it's important to have that distinction. And Sam will talk at the end of this presentation about the RIBA 2-year Arch qualification, okay, which is also PG. So we offer lots and lots of different courses. What I'll be focusing on today is the postgraduate courses. And that first one is the Master of Architecture that Sam will be talking about. And underneath is MA Architecture, MA Interior Design. So we have September and January entry. We're just welcoming our new January set now. MA Interior Decoration and Styling, MSc Urban Design, MA Landscape Architecture, and MA Product Design. So we offer a very wide range of design-centric postgraduate courses, and apart from the Master of Architecture RIBA accredited one, they're all 12-month programs. We come from all over the world. The staff come from all over the world, and also you, the students, come from all over the world. And we're incredibly proud of the diversity that we have at UCA widely, and specifically in the postgraduate 12 study area. We enjoy learning about each other, and I certainly, as a teacher, really enjoy understanding and connecting with people from all over the world. It's something that really makes my job feel really exciting, is engaging with people from the rest of the world and feeling that I can teach somebody who might stay in the UK but also might go back to their home country and have an effect on the way that they design and their design perspective for their career. I think I find that my personal enjoyment of my job, and also we hope that if you come to the university, you make lots of friends from all over the world. And we hope to be very welcoming. So our subject, we work from a perspective of engaging with lots of different ways of learning, lots of different avenues towards design, and it's lots of developing your own agency. At undergraduate level, that's different. At postgraduate level, we approach the subject from developing your own ability as designers to be self-directed and to have your own agency. Going from very traditional starts, this is the sort of historical perspective on space and design, and we take that into account. And we take into also the subject from a playful perspective as well, and appreciating that it's not all about these rules and regulations, and encouraging you to engage with design from a very playful perspective. And design is about the everyday. On the left here, you can see a very lived-in space where somebody's been collecting all their books and their records for years and years and years. And on the right, this very austere, designed and carefully curated space. And we hope that we take those two understandings and bring them together, that it's not just about this empty, spare aesthetic, very strictly design. Goodness me, nobody's using this. It's about creating spaces and objects and environments for people to use and live their life in. And we're very, very human in terms of the way that we approach our relationship with students, and that we see you're human beings, and we hope to develop a relationship with you as students, that we understand your motivations. There's lots of assignments about, what do you want to do and how can we support the specific interest you're fostering, you might have fostered in your undergraduate or in some work experience that you've done. And so your thesis project is very much about you. And so we treat our students as human, but we also know that design is about humans at the end of the day, and we design hopefully interesting things, spaces and environments for exciting things to happen. So our world. So Canterbury is one of 3 campuses for the University for the Creative Arts. So there's Farnham, Epsom and Canterbury. Sam and I both work in Canterbury, and Sam's worked there for even longer than I have. I think I'm in my 13th year, maybe my 14th year now. So we have a great deal of experience. There's a reason we've stayed in a working environment for a long time, because we believe in it. We've been lucky enough to be quite instrumental in sort of developing something that we really believe in. And so what we teach, we've also been instrumental in the development of it as well. And Canterbury as well is a really, really lovely place to be. It's a very old city. It's got lots of sort of eccentricities and interesting layers of history, but we're also really proud of the fact that it's also got 3 universities, and it's a very densely student populated city as well. I think it's one of, if not the most student centric city in Europe, I think is something I've heard. So it's got lots of students, but obviously also the local community and some really fascinating architecture to engage with. And it's also just a nice little city to live in. It's in Kent, the Garden of England. It's this lovely sort of oldie worldy map we've got here of Kent as well. So where you see the horse is about where London starts. So Canterbury, with its cathedral and its historic environment, its World Heritage Site because of the cathedral, is actually not that far from London, and you can go up for the day and engage with all the sort of cultural sort of things up there, and exhibitions and things like that. But also Canterbury is very, very near to the coast. I live in Margate, right at the top right-hand corner. I'm in Margate currently, and that's got beautiful, lovely sandy beaches for nice picnics and walks and swimming as well, but also Whitstable and Deal. They're also very close to Canterbury. So it's very easy to get to countryside if that's something, and getting into nature. It's a very wooded environment, so very nice, gentle experiences, adjacency to London, and also the city itself is full and vibrant. And I always think it's good if you have a deadline, because you can sort of walk through the streets and it's all very calm. But I'm pretty sure there's lots of lovely student parties and lots of things I've always enjoyed when it's been mentioned to me, or when we've seen in some documentation that students have got together and had dinners together and enjoyed their social time, because you're not just studying with us to develop technical skills and very serious professional skills. You're also here to have an interesting time with each other and relate to one another. It's not just about relating to us, and that's important about building that kind of social network as well, which often becomes a professional network too. So there's all sorts of interesting things about Canterbury to discover, and also its location in the country. So on the left here, we've got the really ancient spires of the Canterbury city centre, which is, it is a very historic space, and it's the centre for the church in the UK, so you can't really avoid that. But it's also the most incredible place to visit as a building and a space and an environment. In your first few weeks, we take you to a visit to the cathedral, and I can't remember how many times I've visited it, but I'm always struck by the beautiful way that the light passes through the windows, or the amazing carving. I always think of all the packed lunches the wives made for the stonemasons making all the carvings in the cathedral. How many packed lunches did that column take? So it's not just a historical monument in our city. It's somewhere that's a sort of vessel for beautiful ancient design as well. And then on the right we have the sea, so you're not far from the countryside and the seaside, either to engage with nature and having an active lifestyle. I'm not going to put pictures of student parties up as well, but there's lots of fun stuff to do in that sort of sense. But it's important to remember the value of the environment and how that might affect the way that you think about what you're designing. And we think a lot about context when we teach the PG12. That's really, really important, and we ask you to engage with your environment quite a lot. So we're really, really proud of the campus. People say, why do you work at UCL? I think, I love that tree. It's a great tree. So we have it's quite a compact campus, and the buildings sit around on three sides of this really lovely open piece of grass, which we call the quad. And in summer, it gets filled up with lots of little bunches of people having a nice lunch. And it's always this sort of relaxing, safe and engaged space to be. You're not sort of walking long distances between buildings and things like that. Everything that you need is in one sort of place. So that's really something that we're incredibly proud of as well. So our community, as I said, people from all over the world come to study the postgraduate level at UCA. This is when the beginning of one year, we took everybody for a walk in the woods, and to sort of realizing it, lots of people had flown in from far-flung parts of the world, and just to sort of ground you and show you your environment, we took students on a nice long hike. That sounds a bit scary. A stroll. There's lots and lots of staff at the university to support you. The ARB there refers to those staff members who are registered architects. And as you can see, there's a mixture. So that's sort of covering architecture, interior design that doesn't require you to be a registered architect to practice, and product design and interior decoration and styling as well. So this is some information about the different sort of staff practices. So yes, we're all very dedicated teachers, but also a lot of us have research practices as well. I think in my introduction, there were a couple of things that I do that were mentioned, and this is Paul Found. Oh, sorry, different name there. Paul Found, he has just completed his PhD in 3D printed ceramics, which is something that forms a really sort of interesting research area, and he has some of his ceramics in the department, which is very interesting to see. So this is JJ Brophy, who is Sam's compatriot as a program director in the department. JJ looks after all the design and actually the PG12 sort of umbrella, everything except architecture. And this is a installation in Iceland that JJ and a colleague took part in a light festival, which is really exciting because Iceland's really dark in the winter. So it was a great moment of sort of illuminating an urban space in a village in Iceland. And what's amazing about this whole project, they actually took in their luggage, so they had to design it in a way that could be very compact and then sort of assembled on site. We have lots of industry engagement. These are images showing the lecture series that we have. It's a public lecture series, but what's really important is that we get lots of visiting lecturers. So this isn't about university staff, this is about invited guest speakers from all sorts of areas of practice. This that you're seeing here is the theme of energy. So that was last semester, and we had individuals who specialised in that particular sort of theme of design and had different reflections on that theme of design. And I think this semester is about money. So that series is in flow now, and that happens on a yearly basis. So that's a really important way of engaging with industry. We have various events at the university, sort of as one-off events as well. This is a retrofit event. It's acceptable for students to engage in. So a little bit about our department. This is the atrium space where sometimes introductions and reviews are being done. This is actually a PG12 review. You can see the masks, it's a couple of years old, but we're really, really, really proud of lots of the spaces that we present in are really nice and open, and we expect students to be able to present their work as it's a professional skill that we know that in the future they're going to be expected to often to present to peers or clients. So it's about practicing that skill of presentation. And so we have across the spaces of the school various presentation activities, and this is the atrium where some of that happens. We have, this is students working together in the studio computers. We have high spec computing capabilities on all the computers in the university. And this on the left is students that they were on a group trip with us. We do international field trips sometimes, and they'd forgotten to do their reading for the seminar on Monday, so they were doing their work at the airport, which tutors all thought was quite fun. So there's lots of expectation of engagement and presentation and having a little bit of fun. And the more sort of the more you present your work, the more feedback you get from us, and the more engaged you feel within the community as well. There's some good spaces for workshop activities. This is the wood workshop, the more traditional workshop area with all the big saw tools and things like that. You inducted into using those workshops. When you arrive, you have the first couple of weeks, there's lots of inductions to the photographic workshop, the photographic studio, the wood workshop, the sculpture area, and the fab lab with all the laser cutters and things as well. So there's a series of inductions for you to be able to use the equipment. This is a virtual reality setup. We also have equipment to support this kind of research work at postgraduate level. So We encourage you to engage with technology where you want to in your thesis work as well. So this is a project that was a couple of years ago, engaging with that technology, and we're encouraging students more and more to engage with ways of experiencing space and presenting it to us in innovative and experimental ways, and that forms one way of doing that. These are the laser cutters and 3D printers, and we have other kit like a flatbed CNC machine that's in the wood workshop. So our learning. So I won't go into too much detail here, but this is the course diagram. And so in semester 1, you have 2 units, and this is for all the postgraduate study except for the 2-year RIBA architecture M-Arch qualification. So if you're studying MA interior design, for example, with us, semester 1, experimentation innovation, and that's currently a series of very intense workshops and design experiments so that we make sure that you engage with all of the different skills that we expect you to demonstrate in your thesis project. And then research and professional practice and professional context. So 1, and that's a series of seminars and lectures to start to develop your ability to present your own investigations and research work independently. So that semester 1 is all about trying new things, it's learning, it's expansive, it's finding your interest that you'll be focusing on for the rest of the year. So it's all about exploration, and we're giving you lots of information in that semester, and lots of things to look at, things to question yourself, things to prompt you and develop your knowledge and understanding base there. So then in semester 2 and 3, it's through development and realization of your major project. That's individual and focused, and the units in semester 2 are studio practice, research and professional context 2, and then semester 3 final realization. So you're developing your knowledge, understanding and self-positioning in the first instance, and then your practice context and there's an opportunity for collaboration and business understanding in semester 2, and that's research and professional context 02. And then you have professional practice sessions in the final semester as well. So alongside that major design work that you're doing, you have research and professional context, which goes from sort of more sort of personal research all the way through to sort of practice research, and how you might enter then when your exit. Goodness me, we're talking about you leaving and you haven't even already haven't arrived, but that as you exit, you have the professional skills and understanding to go with your design skills and understanding. And there's EAP, English for Academic Purposes, and library and student services support throughout, access to technical support in workshop areas, 3D modeling and Adobe training and support. At the beginning, that's very structured, and then it becomes more kind of about arranging a one-to-one with the technicians about a particular technical problem you might be working with. And then throughout all of that time, you have your personal tutor and wellbeing support as well. And so it goes overall from starting points that are guided to becoming specialist, becoming personal focused, and then with professional preparation by the time you exit. So a little bit about our work. I don't seem to be able to move on. Oh, is it not? Oh. Sorry, there we go. It's just having a minute. There we go. So this is, I'll just flick through very, very few projects, because I think we probably need to wrap it up for some questions, for Sam and some questions. So this is that's why it's it's thinking ahead now. So this is a MA product design student. This was a student who was looking specifically at she was interested in developing medical devices. And this is a device, believe it or not, this is a physical model, even though it looks very much like a 3D model. And this is a contraption, a device to help for cesarean section procedures. So it's to support a mother going through a surgical surgical birth. It's very niche, very specific. The student arrived in the course saying, I really want to develop my knowledge around medical equipment design, and we facilitated her journey through that, and she did really well, I would say. These are two projects, Aditya and Rima. So on the left, Aditya was really interested in the way in which you can work. This is MDF and plywood, how you can create shapes and bending through strategic layouts of laser cutting cuts, which allowed for the production of these sort of amazing scales, almost like dragonfly scales. And he built an entire pavilion on the lawn, using this cladding, which was really quite beautiful. And on the right, Rima was interested in interactive space and physical computing. So this was using sensors to make giant flowers in an installation that would shout at you and then open and whirl around. And she was working with Arduinos and interactive sensor arrays, which really meant that she was starting to investigate the way that space can be interactive through the integration of technology into spatial design. So it's rich. She did really well, very, very hard-working student, and looking at that edge of design, really innovative and experimental there in the work that she's done. We encourage you to engage with thinking together, collaborating sometimes, and really getting to the nitty-gritty of the designs. Sometimes we do things all together. This is a project that Sam actually did on the lawn from several years ago. And so sometimes we ask you to collaborate together, but the thesis project is individual. This is work from a student that was interested in interactive design. It was because it was in the pandemic, we didn't get so much physical building, although the Arduino interaction was actually tested. And this is the design for an installation, which is actually responding to our emotions around climate change. And it's supposed to ring the bells of a church that was actually submerged in the sea through erosion. So these spatial environments, they're actually engaging with quite emotional. They're creating spaces of emotion and how we experience space, not necessarily functionally, but space can be created to have a particular effect on your feelings. Equally, space, this is actually an interior design student who branched out into the exterior, which is fine. We're here to open doors, not close them on the PG12 courses. And this student was very interested in humanitarian spatial design. So she started to look at ways in which, I think these are giant in sort of craft basket design, which has been integrated into water treatment and distribution, sort of a centre. So that's working with kind of humanitarian design. So we work with all sorts of different motivations with students coming to us with their thesis project. We have very, very high standards, however, with your resolution and your realisation and your design communication. So this is a lovely section from a student who was interested in refurbishing a shopping mall in Kowloon in Hong Kong, and this became a robot mall. So if you look really closely, some of those figures aren't human, they're robots. And the idea that you could create a different series of spaces around how we interact with robot world. We encourage you to engage with things that might be surprising and not actually necessarily possible yet in practice, but by exploring these sort of hypothetical worlds and scenarios, we encourage you to be innovative and experimental. What I really love about this drawing is the way that the colours are managed and the lines are drawn, and the real skill that's demonstrated in this quite beautiful drawing. And we want to get to those conversations with you. We want your designs to be resolved enough that we can talk about the colour of the sky or the colour of the way that the drawing and the line work is presented. This is a slightly more usual project. This is a refurbishment of a department store called Nason's in the middle of Canterbury. But equally, those drawings are really lovely. You can see the students put speech bubbles in there for us to really engage with the way that he imagined that space to work. This is Ola's work, really beautiful work around renders and light imagination as well. So this is what happens in that final realization period of that final semester of your time with us is that we take that general arrangement, the ducks in the row design, and we make it something wonderful. And for different students and different projects, that's a different investigation. It might be a film, it might be fabricating a beautiful model, it might be really doing a deep dive into the way that light falls in the spaces. But that will be different between different students, but you'll be directed very carefully around that by your individual supervisor, who you are allocated at the beginning of semester 2 to guide you through your thesis work with us. This is an MA architecture project engaging with sustainability and water collection. It's a lot of water collection, big park of water collection to engage with, quite a little vegetarian restaurant, but it's quite a beautiful scheme and engaging with that idea of that sort of what needs to happen to support a space. And this is it. This is set in the middle of Canterbury. This is a beautiful landscape project, but it's actually from an interior design student, and she was interested in that the idea of how do you create rooms in the outdoors. So as I say, what we want to do is open doors, not close them for you. We're very open, and sometimes students come to us with studying MA interior design and actually graduate with MA architecture, and we allow with careful supervision around that, we can manage that transition and that transfer of courses. This student stayed in interior design, but she'd also had some work experience in landscape architecture. So we allowed her to to take this slightly alternative path, and it's been really helpful with the MA landscape architecture course coming on board, that we've got some experience around those kinds of areas as well. So we do lots of fun things. We do them together. We do them separately sometimes, but sometimes we go on trips as well to foreign cities, and we explore new spaces. There's some Le Corbusier building in the outskirts of Paris, and now the pandemic has been over for a couple of years. We're really looking forward to the first time we can actually go abroad with the students again. So doing things together. So these are just right at the end now. So this is this international foundation year. So if you feel that you're not quite ready for the masters, we do an international foundation year to support your access to the master's program. And we engage with, you might be coming from a background that's not strictly spatial or design oriented, and we start to develop that spatial or object design based thinking through all sorts of really exciting and fun projects. I remember doing this in my foundation year many years ago, this technique, and it's something that's really fun. So after 12 months, you hopefully end up here in the space of graduation, and we know that you may have done strictly a particular MA or MSc with us, but that's also a gateway to lots of different avenues in terms of design, such as materials design, exhibition design, set design, being digital artists, so visualizations, furniture design, lighting design, lifestyle design, product design, interior design strictly, exhibition design, a research, a PhD pathway, retail design, becoming an architectural technician, brand strategist, events design, developer, or project manager. So there's lots and lots and lots of avenues and doors that this kind of study can open. And we also have a website that is specifically about the architecture and design school as well. So please do engage with that and have a look. Okay, so that's where we stand in terms of the PG12 and sort of generally about the university. I think Sam was going to say a little bit more about careers and touch on the RIBA Part 2. Sam?
Yeah, thanks, Lucy. I mean, that's given a fairly broad, I hope, summary of sort of the way we are as a school. I just wanted to make sort of a couple of brief points. The first is, Lucy very sort of briefly mentioned it, the way our staff team is built here. We have around about half the staff who are what we'd call established academics, so they are sort of full-time or a significant proportion of their time with us. That's people like Lucy and me. We generally have an industry background, but we've moved into academia, and that gives us the sort of close grain knowledge of sort of what you're doing on a weekly basis. So those are the staff who will be setting up, planning and running the units that you're on, the modules that you're doing. They'll look after you through the course of a year or a particular study project. The other half of our staff are what we call our associate team. So they're based in industry, and they come and join us 1 day a week. And very often they're highly motivated individuals who are choosing to take a day out of the office to come and sort of meet the next generation and explore ideas with you. As an institution, well, as a school, that's our approach, and it means that we are highly driven by industry. The teams coming in, 1 day a week, they'll be working on a site, speaking to clients, dealing with sort of major budgets, and another day of the week, they'll be sort of directly in with you. And it gives you that immediate exposure to the way our professions tick. The other thing that does is you'll meet a good number of those people during your time here. And that gives you an opportunity to sort of begin the process of professional networking. Very often those individuals are looking to sort of employ people. They tend to be individuals who are sort of relatively senior within an established practice or have set up their own practice and are sort of developing that themselves. And so they are looking to employ people. They do have good, I suppose, market intel about where people are looking to be to expand their teams. And so for our students, that does create if you do everything right and if you get to know these individuals well, it does create a sort of ready-made industry network for you. They're more than happy to sort of mentor and advise on a one-to-one basis beyond the walls of this institution once you've graduated. As an institution also, and as a school, we have built-in mechanisms that support your sort of transition out into a career. So as a former alumni of ours, you get 3 years of sort of careers advice from our dedicated careers team over in the learning support team. But also as a school, we have what we call professional studies advisors. So they exist within the walls of the department. They're academics who understand how industry works, and they can advise on things like CVs, how to write letters for jobs and that kind of thing. The last point I was going to make is very often something that sort of can be a little confused when it's sort of broadcast to an international market. We have 2 types of postgraduate study within the school. The major type is what we'd call the 1-year Master of Arts courses that Lucy Jones runs. So that is Master of Arts of Architecture, Interior Design, Product Design. We've got MSCs as well in Urban Design, Landscape. And Lucy might need to remind me of that. There's quite a long list that she now looks after. The point of those courses is they act as a 1-year gateway. You can come to the UK. You are on them for the full calendar year, so you're working all the year round. And it is an opportunity to, I guess, sharpen your practice as you move from an undergraduate setting to a postgraduate setting. It raises the bar across the board. And the advantage of doing those courses within the UCA envelope is twofold. A, you have access to all these incredibly specialist making and sort of technical spaces. So for instance, we just had £1 million of funding that we're spending on new scanning equipment and the like that students like you will have access to and will learn to use. So drones, 3D scanners and so on and so forth. And so you essentially get a year of exploring and testing and seeing what you can do in these spaces. You also, it acts as a year to sort of develop your practice on, right? So in that time and space, you find the thing that is special to you. And within Lucy's envelope, these one-year courses, they're all very closely linked to one another. So we don't make a particular determination as whether if you're on an architecture course, which I know a number of you are looking at, or landscape or interior design or urbanism. Bit by bit through the course of the year, you will specialize, you will identify as that type of person, but you're also sharing knowledge from across the set. And so as Lucy alluded to in some of her work, there is a very broad opportunity to sort of self-diagnose and expand beyond what you might have initially perceived as your domain of knowledge. That's the 1 year Master of Arts courses. Then we also have a 2-year course, which is the Master of Architecture course. Now that's a very sort of specific and unique course that's very much a UK-based course. And that one is designed, that one brings with it sort of full accreditation from both the ARB, so that's the regulatory body in the UK that monitors architects' activities and polices them, essentially, and also RIBA, so that's the Royal Institution of British Architects, that's the UK industry body, professional body, I should say. So those two bodies, they sort of police the 2-year Master of Architecture course. They require the curriculum to be sort of constrained in certain ways on it. So for instance, you have to learn about things like fire escape and safety, and you have to demonstrate certain types of knowledge by the time you leave that course. That means that course is less open to experimentation, as Lucy's one is. It's much more sort of down the line development of more sophisticated building projects solely. But what it does give you then is if you wish to go on and become a registered architect in the UK, it is a necessary step along the way. So you need to gather 3 stages of recognition to get that registration, and the Master of Architecture is the second stage of that. So it's a 2-year course, 2 years of fees, though you do the term base for that course is September until May, June each year. So there's a significant summer period for that course. I hope that makes the distinction clear. You know, it is across the board with all of our courses, they are definitely more creativity and experimental and speculative oriented than the more technical courses that you see out there. We do bring in a lot of expertise, so engineers, landscape experts, so on and so forth, but the onus is on you as a student to develop, to experiment, to test, and to challenge, I suppose, the status quo of what you would otherwise assume. That's it. We've very broadly covered who we are and what we do. Canterbury is a lovely city. It's well worth considering also when you choose an institution or an education. We are making a choice about where to live for a year, 2 years, perhaps longer. And it's worth bearing that in mind too. So, yeah. I think that's it. I guess we open to questions now. If anyone has some, I hope you do.
If anyone wants to, you can type it down in the chat box as well. We actually have a few questions that students have posted after the one that's in the chat box.
Okay. Do you want to lead on portfolio, Lucy? You're on mute.
Thanks, Sam. So portfolio, very good question. We carefully review every single portfolio that comes to us with a fine-tooth comb. And what we are looking for is not necessarily the most kind of polished, perfect renders or perfect. What we're looking for is you managing to show us how you develop your work. So it's not just the finished product. We want to see the development work. And so it's often we're looking at portfolios that are from a final year of a design program anyway. So that's actually the portfolio requirements of that degree kind of support us with that. And we can tell quite immediately if a portfolio is from a professional background, or so somebody's like internship or something like that, or whether it's from an academic background. And we really want to see that the problem is with seeing just internship portfolios is we don't see that development. So we want to see that there's been research around a topic, ideas put together. And as I say, it's not some amazing polished result, although it's lovely to see those really nice images. But what's more important is to see a student can commit to the process of designing something. Okay, so we obviously have high standards when it comes to portfolio, but it's not, as I said, about super duper polished. We want to see that you've done some designing. There's evidence of designing in that portfolio. Additionally, what we're looking for is an array of skills. So ability to research, ability to draw, and ability to realize are the sort of the minimum ones, really. And in any portfolio coming from a bachelor's of a good standard, you would be seeing that anyway in any portfolio. But we want to see something that's research and development, some decent drawings, and some decent realization in renders or something like that. But as I say, they don't need to be super duper, but to see that range of skill is really key. And we have students coming in, even if just showing one skill, even if it's a high standard, that's not really good enough. So broad range and the process. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a huge amount as a designer that actually you'll find when you go out into the world as a designer, what you really are is you're in the sort of storytelling business. That whether you're dealing with a client or whether you're affecting at a much larger scale sort of societal change, ultimately you are having to create a narrative where you explain to your client what you're doing, or you understand how the thing that you're constructing adds up to sort of affect a society, to encode the way people live. And so being able to tell us that story is really, really important. And to be able to evidence that through the work that you've done rather than it being written is also fundamental. So along the way, that includes getting stuff wrong and the dead ends that you've run into as much as the polished, finished items. So yeah, that's really important to us as a school, that narrative telling.
Yeah, and being able to commit to that you're not going to get the answer right at the end of the first week. You're going to be coming back, back again and again with your supervisor to improve and refine and develop and experiment and get things wrong, get things right, learn from that process is really super important. I would say we do support you in those skills of storytelling and visual representation, interpretation of data, and understanding and knowledge. And at least one of your assignments is specifically about refining that skill so that you're very competent when client facing in terms of your ability to take quite complicated postgraduate level of research around you're interested in designing for old people or something like that, and you've done lots of research and you've got a big suitcase full of facts. We work with you to make sure that the way that you might present that would be legible to all sorts of audiences, from client to thinking group or something like that. To answer the other question in the chat, do we need any preset skills like softwares, etc., required prior to joining the course? It's always helpful. You will have Rhino training in the first semester, and then you also have Adobe training as well. but ideally you would come to us with some, at least Adobe and drawing. Obviously drawing skills is what we're looking for in the portfolio, so it'd be quite difficult to not come with that. But in terms of specific softwares, it's really helpful to have got some Adobe knowledge. Rhino, we don't assume any knowledge before you go into those sessions, but obviously it's helpful if you do have 3D experience. One thing is that we do encourage you to use Adobe programs in your presentation materials, something like we encourage you to use InDesign, and that is taught, but it would be helpful to come with that, I suppose, as well, but not specifically. Okay.
There's another question regarding the scholarships and tuitions fees and like the details regarding that. Can you show some light on that?
I think the best thing to do would be to go onto the website, and that has all the information around
Lucy,
that.
I can help for this.
Yeah, okay, great.
So basically, the tuition fees is 18,500 pounds, and in case if the students are having 80 percentage and above, so the student would be eligible to get 4,500 in case if they are coming for the September 2024 intake, and in case if anywhere between 60 about up to up to 79 percentage, then they will be eligible to get 3,000 pound scholarship for the September 2024 intake. I hope this helps.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you, Rena. That's good.
Thank you, Lucy. Thank you.
I've just put a couple of the links in the chat as well that relate to what we have on our website, so you can sort of see things in black and white as well.
So, students, you guys have any further questions related to the course, related to the accreditation, or related to anything with related to UCA? We are always happy to help you guys, and definitely Vidya ma'am and the entire management has supported us to conduct this webinar, and I'm really grateful and very thankful to Sam and Lucy to support us to do this webinar very successfully. Thank you very, very much. And in case if any queries you guys have, we will be leaving you the email IDs for myself and Rohini. Rohini is also a part of India team. So any further queries or doubts, we are happy to guide you guys. And now if you want to ask any further things, let's go ahead. Vidya ma'am, would you like to add on anything here?
Hi, are you asking me?
Yep.
Hello. Not really. I hope between Sam and I, we presented an accurate representation of coming to study with us, and I appreciate there is a little bit of clarification required around the 1 year PG12 and the MArch, and hopefully we've clarified that, because I know historically that has been an area of confusion.
Yep.
And yes, if there are any further questions, feel free to field them to us. The website has some examples of work as well, so that might be a good place to have a look at those images. Some of them you will have seen in my presentation, and some of them are different projects. Yeah, but we hope to see some students from India in September. Sounds good.
It was a pleasure to virtually meet you all. Hope to see you again.
Thank you all the students who are sitting in the seminar hall and attending virtually. And thank you our trusted partner AECC for helping us organizing this event. And again, a very thank you to the management of RV College of Architecture. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, all of you.
Thank you, Vidyama.
Thank you
So as we come to the end of GlobEd Season 4, it's my pleasure to thank each and every one of you for making this event a success. Firstly, I thank all the student coordinators, Shashank M, Shruti BK, Yukta K, for hosting and actively helping us in planning this event. On behalf of the faculty coordinators, Assistant Professor Vidya V, Assistant Professor Ajinkya K, and the student coordinators, I would like to thank all the universities and the representatives, both Advise and AECC consultants, who took their time off their busy schedules to help our students and young graduates. Thank you for engaging the participants and answering all of the questions and concerns. We extend our heartfelt gratitude to each and every one of you participants for joining us and making the event a successful one. We hope that this attempt has been well appreciated by all of you, and we request you to fill a short feedback form that will help us work further better. The link of the form will be put up in the chat box. As promised, we will also bring more such sessions and spread it throughout the academic year, and host exclusive sessions with universities and the plethora of interesting courses made available by them. You can also follow our RVCA Instagram page, which is rvca.official, for more information about future events. I once again remind everyone to fill the feedback form. Yeah, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
Thank you. Maybe one day we'll get to visit you in person too.
That will be great. That will be great, sir. Yeah.
Looking forward to see our RV College students in UCA. In fact, very eager to see them in September itself.
Great. Lovely. All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Thank you.